Jesus! Welcome to Ballista 2, version 1.2. I hope most of you are coming from the last video. If not, I'd recommend you go back and watch that. In that video, you see this ballista that I made, and the problems it has. Video's here. Now, version 1.2, the same ballista, a few minor changes that'll hopefully improve everything about the shooting experience. So, the main problem we were having were the arrows. Whoosh, not going straight. They came out kind of like the tail would swing out, fishtail. I don't know if that's because of the track I was using, or like the bowstring, the trigger releasing it. So we made changes on that. Also, there's like the thing called the archer's paradox. Like when the arrow comes out of the bow, it's not flying straight, but it'll kind of like level itself out as it flies. So that's why it takes a little bit of a distance for an arrow to steady itself. So maybe that's the problem. I don't know. You can't see now, but we cleared out the garage. You can't see it now, but we cleared out the driveway, and so we can bring the ballista out there and then shoot into the garage, maybe get a little bit more distance. But I need to be confident in my aim after what happened last time. So, the first improvement I made was not on the ballista itself. This piece of rebar is what we were using to twist the ropes. How well can you see this? I welded on a third piece of rebar to the two that we're using. So these two can slot into the pipes just fine. And that's what we're using to twist the ropes and get power, but they were too bendy. So this third one stopped it from bending and allowed us to twist the pipes quite a bit more. So the next change that I made was to the rail that the arrow rode. The next change that I made was to try to fix the arrow's fishtailing. My main guess on why they were coming out of the bow so crooked was the rail that they were riding on. So I changed it to this piece of corner trim here. It fits the arrows very nicely, as you'll see when we shoot it, and it's a lot longer, so they should have a more guided trip out of the bow. The next change was the ratcheting system moved to the back of the bow. Before, it was up here and kind of up high, which when it was pulling back, kind of angled the whole slider upward. Made me nervous that the whole thing was going to rip out and just like snap, because this is just held together by some wood glue and nails. The whole thing might just rip out, fly out back at me. So this should allow a much straighter pull back. It also increased the potential draw distance, because this piece here on the trigger would hit this little arm. We weren't getting back that far, but if we ever do, now we can go back further. I also drilled another hole where it's mounted to. My hole was a little kitty wumpus, and the whole bow was sitting angled. And also putting the hole further up shifts the weight back, because before we were having problems with the whole bow wanting to tip forward rather than staying like it is now. Another problem we were having was trying to pull the trigger. Took a lot of force to pull the trigger, so that would cause me to, twist the bow as I'm pulling. I think that was the main problem on my aim and why we hit the garage door. So in order to fix that, I added a little bit thicker of a rope to allow me a better pull. I'm going to spray some actual lubricant on it. I used WD-40 last time. I think it just kind of went away after like 2 uses. So we'll see if this helps at all. So yeah, let's get this thing out into the driveway, start shooting. This thing has a lot more power on it, so the chance of injury has gone up. Okay. Holy good. I'm angling it upwards so that if something snaps, it hopefully doesn't hit me as much. Wow, this is so much harder than last time. Okay. It feels like a lot of power on it. Aim. think the arrow tumbled over and slapped it. Yeah. Based on the video, the arrow came and hit the wood like that. Not very good. I'm guessing the bowstring is pushing higher up on the arrow, so it's putting its force kind of like that. We're going to try the metal arrow, and if the metal arrow also does it, back to the drawing board, I guess. Oh my god, that's so terrifying. I'm going to try resting the arrow up against, or closer to the trigger before I had it down here. Maybe if I put it up on this thing here, maybe it'll be a difference. Boy! What was that? I think the string went over it. Something. Maybe it went right underneath it. So I'm thinking, we reviewed the footage, and I'm thinking with the arrow resting up on the trigger, the metal plate, the string went underneath it and just kind of hit out of the ballista. Also, it's crazy how much power this thing's already lost. But also, that arm is pulling back a lot more than that arm. So we might have to twist that side a little more. Oh! We had a misfire! Oh my god! My heart skipped a beat, dude. That little bit of play in the trigger was enough for this string to slide underneath it? There's like no gap. I'm just gonna try again. I don't know why that happened. Maybe I didn't have the string in there right. We're gonna try to get these arms more even. Yeah, they've lost a lot of force too. Every time you shoot it, like every time you pull these back, these ropes get stretched more and more. And since like I'm using stretchy ropes, I don't remember what, nylon, I don't know. Whatever paracord's made out of. Yeah, they get stretched more and more, so we just gotta twist these again real quick. So we just had a misfire. I'm guessing the little bit of play that's in the trigger when it's locked, like that's so minimal. Maybe I wasn't paying close enough attention, because like maybe I didn't have the trigger fully forward. There's like a little bit of a slope in it. I don't know. Maybe this was loose and it just kind of came out. One arm was weaker than the other. Something happened that this trigger allowed the rope to slide underneath it and misfire. It's okay. It's nice when you're drawing it back, there's no arrow in it, so we didn't shoot a projectile when we didn't want to. But we retightened the arms to get some more power back, and we're just going to try it again. Yeah. Oh yeah, we got the power back. Let's try it again. If anything, I just got to weld, just put a little extra metal on the trigger to make sure that there's less play in it. The Menards lumber special, I don't know, man. Huh. Cheap Menards lumber. What happened is every time this thing shot, you know, and it flew forward, so this comes back and it flies forward. It hits right here, That's how it stops. And the arm couldn't take any more of it and snapped. Well, all I can say is I'm glad it didn't snap while we were drawing it back and this piece didn't become a projectile that way. That being said, I've been building things out of this cheap lumber because I'm still learning, so this is bound to happen sooner or later. And this isn't a catastrophic failure. These arms are not that difficult to make. Relatively easy. So I could easily build another arm and we could fire this thing again. Overall, 1.2, kind of a sad day. First shot, arrow tumbled, whoosh, hit the target completely wrong. Second shot, string went under the arrow, kind of just flopped out of the bow with no power. Third shot was a misfire with the rope sliding underneath the trigger, and there was no fourth shot. Very disappointing, given that the first time we strung this thing up and shot it, I think we shot it like 10, 11, 12 times. Repeatable, held its power, no misfires. The arrows weren't going perfectly straight, but they were shooting and hitting the target. But yeah, that's what happens. We continue iterating and just be better next time. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you with Ballista version 1.3. I can't wait. See you there.